All right. So, welcome to Story Starters, everybody. My name is Michael Don Brooks, and this is my special co-host, Sako Tumi, and we are very excited with our brand new concept podcast slash sprint slash short story writing thing. And this is our very first attempt at this. So we're going to see how this goes. And we're learning as we go. And I'm very excited. I've been wanting to do this literally for years. I have been talking about doing this, not to anyone else, just really to myself. But, I talked to myself about it a lot. And then finally, like last week, I decided to talk to somebody outside of myself, who wasn't actually in my head. Sako, you're not in my head, are you? Because I hope you're not a figment of my imagination.
I can make no promises.
Okay.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, as one of the myriad voices in my head, Sako has agreed to be my co-host for this concept, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So here we go. Just to give you a little bit of information about us, my name is Michael Don Brooks. I am the author of the Heart of the Wayshower Saga, and I actually have 2 books that are currently out, if I can get them where they can be seen. Misty, Fairchild in the Heart of Alignment is book 1, and Adam Rowan and the Heart of the Mountain is book 2. Book 3 literally got the first draft of book 3. I completed last week during this big author tuber marathon. And it was a lot of fun to finally get that one done. It had been on a shelf for a year.
Mm-hmm.
A year of like not writing on this book, and then I just like busted it out during the marathon. So it is currently out to my critique partners to get feedback, and then it'll go through revisions, and then off to the beta readers, and then back for revisions, and then hopefully I should have a finished product ready for publishing sometime in the spring.
Oh, cool.
And book 4, my first draft of book 4 is almost done. I only have the denouement to finish on that one. And I wrote the book originally in 2014. So it's,
okay.
It's still in first draft status only because I've never completed a draft on it. So this is intended to be a 7-book series. It's sci-fi fantasy, or as I like to call it, sci-fi and chakras. Has a lot of metaphysical visionary elements, but it also has a lot of snark and MCU references. So, it's fun. How about you, Sako? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Howdy, neighbors. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as Cass Voight. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those 3 things. I am self-published 3 times over, and actually I had an anthology go up as well, so I am 4 times published now. I'm wrapping up another book, and it's not a series, they're all standalones, but I do hope the links might be in the things.
I was getting the links out there, and then as I was putting them out there, I realized that we were supposed to be going live because, I'm sure organization will come as this goes along, and I learn how to do the things. So let's just get these out there. And so those are the first 2. And this is a lot of technical stuff for me, and a lot of doing things all at the same time. And
yes.
My ADHD is kind of
having a
absolutely crazy right now.
Field day, yeah.
Well, funny thing, right before this, I had to drop my kids off at their dad's house. And that was, you know, an hour and a half drive in rush hour traffic. So,
Boo.
so I came in going, I need to decompress before I do this thing.
Yeah.
We might have to revisit, like, you know, when we do this, but I like the idea of having this being a Friday night thing.
Me too. Yeah.
It's just I have a lot of plates spinning on, you know, when it comes to Friday nights. Okay, that's all of your links, correct?
Yes, that is
Good,
all
good,
of my
good.
links. Thank
All
you.
right. So, for those that join us this evening, feel free to play in the chat. Here's what we will be doing. We are going to do story starters. Now, story starters is a concept that was the inception was back in 2014. I was attending I was part of the San Antonio Writers Guild. We had a weekly critique group. And we also would have people come in to do workshops. And Eric Witchey, who is an incredible author, came in to do this amazing weekend. It was an entire weekend. It was like 4 days of just workshops. And one of the concepts that he presented was this this story prompt thing, and he even gave us this story prompt thing, which does not work anymore. I can, you know, I still have it on my computer, but it does not work at all. But it was just a random story generator prompt. This is before AI, so it was basically, it would put in different kinds of things, story elements, genre, setting, you know, plot, all of the different elements that make up a story and things pertaining to those different elements. So it would spit out like 3 to 5 different prompts, and then based on those prompts, you would take 20 minutes and write a story. Well, every week, a group of authors, we would meet at my friend Marjorie Brody's house, and she had these big bowls, like great big bowls, full of slips of paper, and they had everything from first person perspective to, you know, in the style of, you know, J.R.R. Tolkien. It was just like, you know, random things like that. And we would draw 3 slips of paper and then write a story about it. And I have hundreds of these little story starters from that time. And a lot of them I still like. I had characters that developed over time through this. I had one of my characters, he's in I have a mystery series that's going to that's in development right now. And he's one of the characters that that came out of the story starters group. So there's something really magical that happens when creatives get together and start creating together. I mean, because of that, we have things like, you know, Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia. You know, Tolkien and Lewis with their Inklings, they would get together every week and they would discuss their stories and they would, you know, write together and feed off of each other's creative energy. You had, like, you know, Byron and Shelley and that whole crowd, and now we have Frankenstein because of it. So I think that this is just such a magical element. It's such an important thing for creatives to create together. And that's been one of the wonderful things about what I love about sprints. And so many people in the AuthorTube community do these sprints. And it's great because you're there and you're with other people and everyone's shouting out the word counts. And that's great. But I think it's even more fun when you're working on something together and there's a purpose to it. And then you can read it back to each other in real time. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Sako and I are going to take 25 minutes. We're going to spin up some prompts. And I have a website, which I think I pinned on YouTube. I don't know because I closed it because it was talking to me.
What?
All right, I'm going to unpin that message and I'm going to pin this one because that makes more sense. Okay, so I've pinned the story starters at the top of the chat. It's also in the body of the stream. And yes, so what I'm going to do now is go to my Story Starters page and show you what it is. I don't need this to keep showing me these tips every single time. Okay, Story Starters, share. Okay, so right now we are looking at my the Story Starters prompts. So the prompts that I have are settings, pick a card, archetypes, genre, theme, tropes, POV, style, plot, action, and character. These are all elements of story. And on the website, I actually go into a little bit more detail about what each of these things are. And as time goes on, I'm going to fill out each of the prompts with a little bit more information so that it is going to evolve into more of a, like, you know, kind of a elements of style book of what it is to write stories, what makes a story, and what are the parts of a story. Now, something like pick a card, that's not part of a story. That's actually going to be let's see, let me show you what pick a card is. That is the that's going to be the major arcana of the tarot deck, because
cool.
You're dealing with archetypes. So each of these, you know, archetypes, Joseph Campbell in The Hero of a Thousand Faces goes all in on like what archetypes are. There are 12 recognized literary archetypes, but Joseph Campbell narrowed it down to 8, and there's a little bit of overlap there. I put the 12 and the 8, with hero being kind of the one that's the same in both. And so, you know, if archetype comes up, it could be either a Joseph Campbell or one of the, you know, literally recognized archetypes. And these are all things to jump off from. So we're going to pick 3 different things. And when we pick those things, we're going to then set up the Pomodoro timer and put 20 minutes on the clock. And we're going to write. You can either type or you can, you know, write longhand, whatever works for you. And then at the end, we're going to come back and Sako and I are going to read to each other what we just wrote. And then we're going to do another one. So I'd like to do 3 of these. So by the end of tonight, we will have 3 story starters. Now, there's always the questions of, does it have to be completely brand new, like never thought of before stuff, or can I bring my work in progress? Absolutely, you can bring your work in progress to it and let it be a jumping off place for something. Like, say there's an area in your book where you might be stuck, or whatever your work is, you know, whatever your whip is. You can use this to kind of loosen things up, because you'll be taking your known characters and throwing them into perhaps an unknown element. But, you know, you can do it however you want to. Just whatever feels good. Like I said, I came up with whole new characters that started to have recurring roles in these story starters, that now are elements within a greater mystery novel that I'm writing. So, you know, it's there's a lot you can do from here. So I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel. We're going to spin it 3 times.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel.
All right. So our first spin is theme. And then our next spin is going to be pick a card. And then our third prompt is going to be character. So now, and we can jump to each of these things. For theme, and you see I have a lot of different themes. There are way more themes than this, but this is just a handful of themes just to kind of give us something to explore. So our first prompt will be the theme of mercy.
Ooh.
Have mercy. All right. And then for pick a card. Ooh, the High Priestess. Whoa. Can you? Okay. I'm already like the gears are turning. High Priestess and mercy. Okay. And our character. Oh, scrolling back up. Characters. Okay. So these are types of characters. The protagonist, antagonist. Your protagonist is always your main character. So we assume that your protagonist is going to be in your scene. This is to show you what other character might be in your scene. If protagonist comes up, then it's going to be your protagonist by themselves. At least that's, you can interpret it how you want. That's how I've been thinking of it. But the tertiary. So the tertiary characters are going to be kind of your background characters. This is going to be like, you know, the woman on the bus, that sort of thing. They're not the best friends in gosh, I wish I could come up with a non-Harry Potter thing, but all I can think of is like Lavender Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could use an example that does not include She Who Must Not Be Named. But here we are. Sako, give me a better tertiary character.
But also there's something to be said for the separation between the art and the artist.
There is.
You know.
Absolutely. It's complicated. It
is complicated. Just don't shovel money towards the hate.
But as an example, Lavender Brown is a great example of a tertiary character.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So going back here, now I'm going to scroll down the bottom. So our prompts are.
Oh, nothing is moving.
Oh, is nothing moving?
Nothing.
Oh, I didn't spin anything. I'm going to stop that screen. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the High Priestess, Mercy, and
then
tertiary character.
Tertiary character.
From the POV of the tertiary character, maybe?
It doesn't have to be the POV. It can be your protagonist interacting with a tertiary character. But yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to add that banner. And it's going to scroll button. Okay. There we go. So if you come in and you don't know what your prompts are, they're going to scroll across the bottom. So you'll be able to see that. And we're going to set up our little timer. And as soon as we're ready, are you ready, Sako?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, I'm starting the timer. And we'll be muted. The lo-fi study sounds were really, you can listen to your own music, you know, do what you got to do. But timer is going and we're off. All right, see you in 25 minutes.
Okay.
Lost. I was like, where am I? Okay. Right. I think I got like a full story going there. All right. How did you do, Sako?
Couple hundred words, but it's a microfiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, 522 words. And again, and it's just, you know, seems unfair, really. All right. Would you like to read what you've got?
Okay. Here we go. The high priestess walked through the temple in her white flowing gown, her three-moon necklace across her chest, and she adjusted the moon-oriented crown on top of her head. Green eyes scanned the room, and she was dismayed at what she'd found. The altars were covered in dust, and the stone floors were scuffed by the soles of the layman's shoes. On the floor, scrubbing at the scuff marks, was one of the maidens of the temple. Gretchen, what is the meaning of all this mess? This is a temple. It should be immaculate. Sorry, High Priestess, Gretchen replied, eyes averted to the floor, pausing her cleaning to listen. I will do better. The High Priestess sighed and smiled softly, tilting her head at the cowering girl. Child, it's all right. I know you will. Take a break, wash up, and help yourself to the kitchen for something to eat. She extended her hand down to the girl, offering to lift her to her feet.
I like it. There's a lot of really great imagery, and I love how all of the elements are there.
But the tricky part is like I had to go and get a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
I
I'm
had to
gonna
take
have to
my
do the same.
med.
I've got to get something to drink. But yes, on this next one, I'm gonna do. But I mean, like that was a great scene, very succinct, and I love the fact that you were able to like do the whole arc within under 300 words.
That man, like flash fiction is my jam.
Oh,
Man.
I love flash fiction. My little scene, I don't think I so the tertiary characters were it threw me, and my tertiary character wound up not being so tertiary, I guess. Maybe there's a
I
tertiary.
guess technically my tertiary character wasn't really because
It's
she
hard.
earned a name. Because she earned a name,
She earned a name. Yeah. Well, I
right?
mean, I have two extra characters that neither of which have a name, so I guess I got that going for me. Maybe I don't know. I'll go ahead and read mine.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Rain rolled down the window in rivulets as the train rocked back and forth. Andy stared into the bleak gray, wishing for something concrete. Her own reflection gazed back, listless and bored. Is this seat taken? The creaky voice of age whispered through the steady thump from her beats and startled her to attention. She glanced over at the woman hunched with age and infirmity and shook her head, scooching her backpack more centrally on her lap. Thank you, the woman wheezed as she settled into the seat with labored breaths at each movement. I'm only one stop from home. You don't have to sit with me long, she said with a self-deprecating laugh. Andy gave a cursory nod of acknowledgement and pointedly stared at the novel that had fallen open in her lap. Usually the beats were enough to dissuade chatty passengers, but if that failed, reading was the nail in the coffin of any conversation. I've been visiting my sister, the woman continued, and Andy swallowed back her absolute irritation. Instead, she continued staring at the page, willing the words to block out the prattling stranger. She's been sick, you know. No, I don't. Andy managed to not say the words aloud, but really, the presumption of some people. For the next 10 minutes, the woman gave Andy her complete family history, all while Andy maintained resolute attention to her novel. After an interminable time, she saw the conductor coming from the front of the car, a moment of fleeting relief to know that the one-sided conversation would be interrupted, if ever so briefly. Tickets, please. Andy already had hers out, reaching across the old woman to hand to the man. Meanwhile, the woman was digging in her bag. Oh no, she muttered under her breath several declarations, digging and finally dumping the entire contents onto her lap, the detritus of which spilled over onto Andy's side. She gagged at what appeared to be a used tissue that landed on her thigh before rolling to the floor. Ma'am, I need your ticket, please. I. The woman searched the debris. I can't find my wallet. She stood up and searched the floor, looking under the seat, then the one behind and in front. She looked up at the conductor with shimmering eyes. I don't know what happened. I had it at the ticket booth and she trailed off into sniffling sobs. The conductor shared a bored look with Andy. She was sure he'd seen it all in his time, and Andy's intuition told her this woman was clearly not only trying to scam the train people, but Andy herself. She sighed inwardly, knowing full well that she'd never see the money again, but finally piped up. Granny, did you leave your wallet at the train station again? We'll have to call them to find it. Meanwhile, she handed some cash to the conductor. Will this cover us to the next stop? The conductor rolled his eyes, but nodded. He shook his head as he moved on.
Nicely done. No, you accomplished all well. The high priestess thing.
It was her intuition. That was my angle.
Oh, there you go.
She was listening to her intuition.
Yeah.
And even with her intuition, the high priestess energy was to show mercy and to, so yeah. That's where that was coming from.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. All right. So I'm gonna spin up some new prompts. And in the meantime, and then I'm going to take 5 minutes to go make myself a coffee as well.
So shorter story next time.
Yeah, mine's probably not going to be 500 words this next time. Let's go to what are our prompts? Okay. Spin, spin, spin. Oh, pick a card. You know what? I'm going to spin it again. I thought I was going for archetypes. Tropes. Tropes. Okay. Now archetype. Okay. And POV. All right, let's see. We're going to be dealing in tropes. All right.
Oh, this ought to be fun.
Oh, this is so fun. Fated mates. Okay. Okay. And to the archetype. Here we go. The ruler. Oh my gosh, we've got some shifter prawn coming up here. Okay, and POV. Where is my POV?
Is this what you've been working on all week?
No, this is what I worked on Monday. I did all of this Monday.
Wow.
Okay, so let's see what our POV is going to be. Yeah, this week I've been working on Canva. Third person omniscient.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now let me create our little streaming banner. Oh man. Facebook is gonna.
What's Facebook gonna do?
Facebook always, they tend to like to promote certain styles of books in my news feed
Oh,
repetitively,
well,
and then I have to like hide it.
I put out like $30 in ads for my launch party for my debut book. And yeah, it was basically spamming my niche audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, no bueno. And I was like, it's not me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not the one doing it.
Okay, all right. So let's get our little timer up. I'm gonna go get some coffee and then jump into this this little shifter tryst over here. Okay. Because it's gotta be. If it's fated mates, what else can it be? I guess it could be something else. Maybe Andy and the old woman on the train are fated mates. Who knows? Let's see.
They're not mates. They're not mates.
No, they're gonna go. It's gonna turn into like dirty, rotten scoundrels. And
Yes, it is. With the eye patch and the fork with the cork on it.
It takes one to know one. Andy knows that she's scamming because she's a scammer. Okay. And let's put up our little timer and do. Are you able to see the timer?
I am able to see the timer.
And the time is on. And
the
I'm muting
time
myself.
is on.
See you in 25
Okay.
minutes.
Woo. Tingle, tingle, tingle.
Okay. All right. That was fun.
That was super fun.
All right. I was kind of really getting into it, actually.
Except I didn't do third person omniscient because that required more brain meats than I have because I mostly do third person close.
I know, right? That was like when I caught myself, I was like, oh, no, that's not what we're doing here. Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of head hopping. So, I tend not to do, and it doesn't work for the genre that I write, really.
Yeah. Well, I did, what was it, 376 words, I want to say.
Oh, let me see how many I got.
Yeah, 376.
Tools, word count. 339.
Now, funny thing, I started in one direction and didn't like it and wiped that out and started over again.
Yes, me too.
Because I realized that I was in third person limit, like,
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. All right. You want to go ahead and read yours?
Sure. Okay. This'll get kind of weird. Gilgola, the old, grizzled, yet strongest of the werewolves, was in the market for a new mate. Her previous mate, the chieftain, passed away weeks prior in combat, and she was about ready for a new one. The horns blasted, and it snapped the alpha female wolf out of her daydream. Gilgola was so used to hearing them that A, her hearing wasn't so good anymore, and B, she knew that battle was imminent. The cavern had been attacked and defenses were needed. She ran on all fours, as wolves are wont to do, towards the clattering noises and shouting. The loudest of the battle cries came from a strong humanoid named Runs with Scissors. She ripped into what looked like bastardizations of the lycanthrope physical prowess. Claws and teeth clashed against each other over and over. Runs arched her back in triumph upon throwing her claws into what could only have been when hold on, let me try that again. Runs arched her back in triumph, throwing her claws into what one could only assume was the ribcage of the creature. The furless husk of the beast fell to the ground in bloody, crumpled heap. It could have been mistaken for a horror costume found on the bedroom floor of a college dropout. Gagola's jaw dropped. It was love at first fight. She ran to Runs' side and aided in whacking through the onslaught of demon dogs. Leathery skin split open like roses blooming and exposed unrecognizable bones. These were not creatures of this plane. All the better. Gilgola and Runs with Scissors fought side by side, back to back, becoming a killing machine, slashing and gnashing and tearing open bodies as though it were Christmas morning. When the onslaught waned and the feed of assailants grew to nothing, Gilgola turned to Runs, and Runs did not flee at the sight of the humanoid wolf. Normally, the sight of such combat would drive a human to madness, but Runs stood her ground. Her blue eyes glittered with passion and hope, and Gilgola admired that. Want to go out for drinks?
Okay, I love the name Runs with Scissors. It really paints a picture of what this person was to like their family unit and like that's just awesome.
I love coming up with names for modern werewolves that are like native in origin, because I have like speaks to vending machines is one of my favorites, and then Runs with Scissors, pisses in the wind, like just the names are so much fun.
That is so awesome. I'm never going to forget the beautiful and vivacious and lethal Runs with Scissors.
That's going to be fun to develop a little bit, like into an actual story that I can submit to a thing,
Yeah.
like, especially for shifter stuff.
Yeah. No,
because I think I was a little muddy regarding like what being a werewolf actually meant.
Well, I mean, like, this is like it's an insta flash, not even like a developed flash.
Yeah, exactly.
So like what we're doing here is this is a jumping off point. This is like not even first draft. This is like pre-first draft.
Mm-hmm.
This is spitballing. We're just spitballing here. Like, what I wrote, I do not write in this genre. And I don't like, mine is almost more high fantasy and I don't write that at all. So this is like very outside my wheelhouse. But here we go. The idyllic village of Hamanaru nestled cozily between the softly rolling hills that bordered the greater mountain range of Gilgareth. Many had sought safe passage through this little land, which boasted of its neutrality and diplomacy, and made for a much easier trade route than the harsh, forbidden lands to the west. Arid deserts, sharp cliffs, and dizzying heights separated the tiny hamlet from the vast, bustling metropolis ruled by the Fist. Word had reached Hamanaru that the Fist, finally, and at last, sought a bride. Maidens of the village blushed and whispered behind cupped hands as to the fate of the one he might choose. Surely one of his reputation would seek breeding, quality, finery, and bloodlines for his mate. Love was not a luxury afforded to the rich. Yet, the day came when the Fist condescended to visit the insignificant yet vital trade route that served as the village of Hamanaru. I have come to claim a bride, he declared. Then perhaps go elsewhere, Maru muttered. Her father shushed her, and the girls nearest her cast scandalized looks in her direction, and stepped a pace hence for fear of the lightning that would surely strike where she stood. All the village maidens stood in rows for inspection by the royal guard. They were a pretty and vibrant, healthy lot. The benefits of being a tiny village at the crux of a major trade route meant that none went hungry. Many had speculated that the Fist's first and only aim of gaining a bride from its populace was to control the territory that spread outward like the spokes of a wheel, and to situate himself to conquer all the land that lay to the west. If he claimed Hamanaru, Gilgareth would be his. Maru slunk to the back of the row of pretty maids, certain she was not at risk for consideration despite her father's clout. He was certain that she was not up for consideration due to her unfortunate chin, so prone to wagging, and tongue, so prone to cutting. None of the pretty maids feared for Maru either, except that she might dig her own grave. They primped and preened and swayed their skirts as handsome soldiers ticked off boxes on rolled parchments.
Hey, that's a really good start.
Thank you. I kind of want to see where it goes.
Yeah.
And that's the fun of this. Like you get a whole bunch of things and they're all random, and then some of them are like, ooh, where is this one going? Where might this lead?
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's see. So we have one more. Do you have one more in you, or are we good?
I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, we can absolutely leave this here. This, I think, was a great start. We've got
This was a great start. We have a pretty good idea of how the wheels work and the different sections and all the fun randomality of the things.
Yeah.
Um,
And so, go ahead.
You were talking about like doing the prompts on pieces of paper and putting them in a bowl and it's stuff like that. And I was like, but wheels.
Yeah. Wheels work very well. I like it. Well, and I'm glad that you suggested the wheels because I was racking my brains trying to find something like, even just a random word generator, but like nothing was working exactly right. And so being able to customize my own wheels, and it's an app. I have a link to it on my website where
I
I
am
created those
familiar
wheels.
with the app. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I guess I'll probably link it in, I'll update my YouTube thing. But I think what I'm going to do is maybe even, if you're cool with it, we could cut out, edit down the little story parts. And, we've got the prompts going at the bottom, and we could even release the little stories as, this is what Story Starters is all about, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, it's like YouTube Shorts or whatever. Yeah.
Then, come tell stories with us. But this was great. I don't think anybody joined us, but that's fine.
That's fine. We had
We
fun.
had
People can
fun.
watch it in post.
Yeah, and then anybody who wants to go back and do it can do the prompts and take the 20-minute timer, and and there they go. All right. Well, thank you
Yay!
so much, Sako. I had a lot of fun. I'm so glad that you did this with me. And
Yeah. Thanks for
an hour and a
inviting
half.
me.
There we are. That's what I was aiming for, and we're good. All right. You have a great night, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Sako's information is in the stuff down below, and so like and follow her at all of her places and all the things. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Same bat channel, same bat time. All right, have a great night.